So the first one is self-denial. So self-denial is the idea that we deny ourselves something that we really want or need, or the opposite of that is forcing ourselves to do things we don't really want to do. So that's kind of the first thing I'm going to discuss. So within eating disorders, the obvious one is restrictions. So people restrict food, which is obviously something that we all need and we're told that we need. So, that's the most obvious one, but there are some other nuances within that. So people start denying themselves treats, enjoyable activities, they force themselves to over-exercise, don't give themselves enough time to rest. All of these things play into it. I think the biggest things that I want to talk about within this is this idea of denying yourself things you really want, but also forcing yourself to do things that you really don't like or don't enjoy. So a couple of reasons why this might show up for somebody. It's going to be different for each individual, but the first one that I've identified is that we live in a society that we are praised for strong willpower. And in itself, strong willpower is a great thing, but if you're somebody who is really good at strong willpower, it can go to the next extreme. Another thing which is down to kind of self-worth is that we feel like we don't deserve these things, that for some reason we don't deserve pleasure or enjoyable things, or we deserve to suffer or have pain. Sometimes we feel like we need to prove ourselves or earn certain things, so we can't enjoy certain foods without having earned it in some way. I think sometimes as well, something that I really struggled with was identifying actually what I really wanted. I'd spent so long listening to an eating disorder voice who said that I wanted to do this and I didn't want to do this, but I'd lost touch with really what I actually wanted, and learning that again was quite difficult, but is something that you have to go on to start learning. What you really enjoy is not listening to the eating disorder voice and starting checking in with yourself. Another reason why we might deny ourselves certain things is, personally, I often experienced a bit of overwhelm if I felt like there was too much going on in my life, or there was too many things or things to think about. I felt overwhelmed, so I try and get rid of them, declutter. And in itself, I identified that by denying myself certain things and pleasures, I was cutting out all of that faff. And that is another reason why people might deny themselves, is to avoid feeling overwhelmed or overstimulated. So the first thing that I would recommend in overcoming this or working through it, it isn't just a one-click fix or one sort of statement that will change everything, but the first thing is starting to listen into what you truly want. And that sounds very grand and difficult, but actually it's starting small. It's in those moments when you're thinking, oh, you can feel yourself, you're making a decision around what you're going to eat, you can feel yourself being drawn to one thing, but you automatically go, no, I'm going to do this, just because of habitual ways of doing things and different rules. So it's going, oh, I heard that I actually wanted this, or I felt it in some way, and identifying that and starting to listen to that. The second thing is maybe sitting down, taking some time out, which we don't often do, to write down a list of all the things you truly want to do or you want, whether that be food-wise, activity-wise, that kind of thing. Also writing a list of things that you're forcing yourself to do that you might actually not enjoy. I think for some people who struggle with eating disorders and exercise plays into it, they have this sudden epiphany where it's like, don't actually enjoy the exercise that I'm doing. Checking in with that, I'd really recommend, if you're forcing yourself to do exercise, do you really enjoy it? Is there other exercise that you would enjoy more? So writing that list. And if it's a list of things that you actually really want to do or try, going through it and checking them off. It can be a really enjoyable activity, and remembering that it is enjoyable. Life is to be enjoyable, and so I want to do these activities, try these different foods, so following through with it. If this self-denial is coming from a place of low self-worth, then just repeating to yourself or telling yourself and working through this idea that I am okay and I deserve this. And whether that be as simply as repeating that to yourself, even if you don't believe it, I am okay, I deserve this, can be really, really powerful. But also just going on a bit of a journey with that and figuring out why you feel like you don't deserve it, but also, working through ways of developing that more can be really, really beneficial. So within self-denial, what's come up for you? What kind of thoughts, questions, things you want to work through? I'd recommend writing those down, having a bit of think over that.